Life in our house was going smoothly and quietly until a month ago, when the new neighbors arrived. They moved in unnoticed, and I didn't even see them move in. They seemed to materialize overnight, and their arrival was shrouded in mystery. One morning I finally met someone from the new family, a guy my age. At first glance, the family seemed perfectly ordinary. The father, Richard Harper, was a serious and disciplined man who probably held a high position in a bank. The mother, Laura Harper, was a stunning woman in her 40s, elegant and graceful, dedicated to the home. And then there was their son, Kevin, friendly and helpful. Kevin and I struck up a fast friendship. We soon discovered that we had a lot in common: a shared love of computer games, a passion for soccer, and even similar music preferences. We began spending most of our free time together, alternating between his house and mine. His parents were exceptionally hospitable, especially Laura, who always had a kind word and something delicious for us. Her culinary skills were second to none, and I still dream of her legendary meat pies. One day, Kevin said, "Listen, it's my mom's birthday tomorrow. My parents have asked me to invite you to visit." The invitation was warm and sincere, so it was impossible to refuse. I also felt honored to be invited to such an intimate family celebration. Determined not to come empty-handed, I bought a bouquet of fresh flowers the next day. Punctual as always, I rang the Harpers' doorbell at 7 o'clock sharp. Kevin greeted me with his usual cheerful smile and led me into the elegantly decorated living room. There was a festive atmosphere. A sumptuous table was waiting for us, decorated with colorful salads, tempting appetizers, and a chilled bottle of champagne. Laura fussed in the kitchen, radiant in her new dress, which fit her figure perfectly. Her face lit up with delight as I handed her the flowers. She kissed my cheek in gratitude, and the soft, enchanting scent of her perfume hung in the air. Richard, who was late for work, hadn't arrived yet, so the celebration began without him. Kevin put on some upbeat music, and we raised our glasses in a toast. Laura told funny anecdotes and laughed with an infectious energy that filled the room. Her laughter was a melody that brightened the evening and made everyone feel at ease. When Richard eventually arrived, he looked tired but content, carrying a delicious cake and a bottle of fine wine. We enjoyed the evening together, telling stories and laughing. Around 11, Kevin excused himself, explaining that he had plans with a friend. Richard also had to leave on an emergency at work. I was about to leave too, but Laura gently asked if I could help her tidy up. As we were clearing the table, Laura accidentally spilled wine on her blouse. She apologized and returned a few minutes later in a silk robe, her hair cascading over her shoulders. The robe emphasized her figure, and she held herself with casual grace. She sat down next to me on the couch, pouring another glass of wine. Our conversation turned to a lighter and more personal topic, but there was an unspoken tension in the air that gave meaning to every word and movement. She leaned closer, and the warmth of her body was almost palpable. At one point she reached up to get something from the top shelf, and her robe parted slightly, exposing her long, taut legs. I instinctively stood up to help her, and at that moment the heady scent of her perfume overwhelmed me, and I felt dizzy. I cannot remember the exact sequence of events that followed. I only remember the feel of her silky hair between my fingers and the electric warmth of her skin against mine. It was a surreal moment, a whirlwind of emotion, passion, and tenderness. After that evening, my visits to the Harper home became infrequent. Outwardly, Laura remained cheerful and warm when we crossed paths, but there were times when I caught her intense gaze, which seemed to hold 1,000 unspoken words. 2.5 years have passed since that night. My life had moved on. I had a girlfriend and a steady job. But despite the time that has passed, fragments of that night still linger in my mind, imprinted in my memory with a vividness that I can't erase. Some moments seem destined to stay with you forever, no matter how much you want them to.